Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Today we'll be watching how to, for the most part, safely traverse through the Veteran City of Ash 2 dungeon. We'll be doing the hard mode today, and as always with these dungeon guide videos, we do not have anyone allocating any champion point, just to kind of show you guys that it is possible to do this without CP, or rather without too much CP, since newer players won't have obviously the max cap of CP to play around with. So first, the first big difference you'll see between City of Ash 1 and 2 is the scenery has definitely changed. City of Ash 1 was all fire and brimstone, and City of Ash 2 has, for the most part, returned to what it must have been like before the fires came, before the Daedra came. There's a lot of vegetation, there's a lot of wild animals, wildlife. And apparently the vegetation has grown hostile while the wood elves are gone. So for the most part, it's not really too hard. The first part of the dungeon, you're just going to be killing random cats and random stranglers. It's not necessary to pull every trash ad in this dungeon, so if you want to skip them, you can. It will not affect any of your achievements. And just like last time, we're going to go into the Inner Grove. However, the last boss is not in the Inner Grove. Instead, we will be meeting our first boss in the form of a trio of Daedra. We're going to be clearing the scams, the clan fears, before we do so, since we don't want to tackle the boss and the ads at the same time. And as our quest giver has pointed out, the three in front of the portal to the Daedric realm look formidable. And now we'll be tackling them on. So as a tank, you have two choices. You can just put this guy in everyone's dots. And of course I die here, I think, because of too much damage incoming. It is not possible to block that CC AoE he does, unless you are already CC immune. So take that into consideration when you tackle this boss. So as a tank, as I was saying, you have two choices. The first choice is just to kind of tank this two-hander guy where he was, to burn him as quickly as possible. The second choice is what our tank is currently doing right now. Either can work. Our tank is just trying to stack this guy on one of the other two bosses that do move around quite a bit. The downside to this is this boss will die a lot less faster than he would have if he had just stood still. And unlike the fire atros from the last boss last time in City of Ash 1, those fire atros that are summoned into the fight are chainable or pullable, depending on what class or skill you're using. And here we have these two last bosses left. The archer boss has, I believe, the weaker resistances, or at least less health, so that guy burns down pretty fast. The mage, however, is a little bit more tough, so you just want to take your time and just go at it. As long as the tank has them both taunted, there shouldn't be any issue. Even if there is no taunt available in this fight, once the two-hander is dead, it is, or rather it shouldn't be an issue. And that's it. That's the first boss of City of Ash 2. And we'll be traveling through a Daedric realm ruled by Marunis Dagon, I believe. And just like City of Ash 1, everything is pretty much on fire. So, pretty good atmosphere set by the dungeon makers. Lots of Daedra to kill. If you do have Fighters Guild passes available, your ulti regen will be very, very, very good. So feel free to spam your ultis throughout the rest of the dungeon. And you'll have it up by the next boss fight most likely, as long as you don't cast it right before a boss fight. And here we'll be meeting our second boss of the City of Ash 2. It's basically Mark System Manny from Vet Master Marina. However, it's the Mark says it's Ursula the Legion. And we'll be clearing the trash before we engage the boss, because the trash can be quite dangerous in City of Ash 2. In the past, City of Ash 2, when it was called just Vet City of Ash, was actually one of the harder dungeons. You could argue that it was the hardest dungeon before the IC DLC dungeons came out. So it's still there, the damage is still there to a degree. It just happens that we have a lot more champion points to work with. However, in the video, again, we don't have any champion point allocated. And here we tackle the Legion. And the two things she mainly does is summon these ads that can be a bother, but shouldn't be able to kill you as long as they have their, attacks or avoid their attacks. And the second thing she does is summon these annoying fire AoEs that may force you to move for the fight. The catch is, once the ads respond, there is like a timer that is started. So if she gets this timer down to 0, she's gonna start summoning these ads back into her, and the ads will heal her. So if you can, try to kill the ads along with the boss. It's not necessary to focus the ads entirely, just include them in your damage over time abilities. And after we kill the second boss, we're going to move on through a fairly difficult trash pull for the tank. Not this one, but the one coming after. But for the most part, it's going to be pretty much the same kill order. You want to kill the two-hander first, and then the archer, and then everything else after. The two-hander does that annoying big AoE, but however, unlike the first boss that we encountered, their AoEs are blockable, so you can avoid being crowd controlled. And here is the beginning of this difficult trash pull. Our tank decided that we could handle pulling pretty much everything in this narrow pathway, but if your group is inexperienced and you don't want to wipe or anything, or you don't want to risk anyone dying, definitely go one at a time. The annoying part about this pull is that two ads will continuously spawn until you get to the end of it. So you'll see these two ads come down the stairs constantly. There's no point in killing them over and over because they'll just keep coming out. So until you do, you just kind of ignore them and you tackle this next mob here before the Flame Colossus over there. And again, the kill order, two-hander first if possible, just because it's the most annoying and its heavy attack can kill you. If the tank doesn't taunt before the heavy attack goes out, that heavy attack could target someone. You can dodge roll with a block it, preferably dodge roll if you're a DPS or a healer. Now the key thing about these flaming colossi is that as a tank you don't want to turn it towards the group. It has a cleave, so when it launches a fireball at the tank, if anyone's behind the tank or next to the tank, the fireballs will hit the DPS or the healer next to the tank. So try not to be in front of the flaming colossus if you are not the tank, because that might one-shot you, especially if you don't have CP or if your health is too low. And now we'll be tackling the next boss of this dungeon. It's the Fire Moll. The fight is a little risky to burn because the boss has a chance to gain a shield, which you can't crit obviously as a DPS. So our gambit here is to burn it before it gets that shield and before the ads kill us. It is of course possible to take this really slowly. The ads only spawn at health intervals, and at each health interval there aren't too many ads that spawn. There are 3 sides from which the ads spawn, so there's 3 health intervals. If you want to take it slow, you can take the Fire Moll into a corner or something to the right over there where I'm kind of looking at, and just burn it or kill the ads slowly. Now there I made a mistake. I kind of went into the 190-degree view angle of the Fire Moll. He does these tremors where he stomps his foot and the lines go out. You don't want to get hit by that, And over there, that corner is a good spot to, burn them if you guys don't want to deal with the ads, or just take it slow if you want to kill the ads. Either way will work. But yeah, as a tank for that fire Moll boss, always make sure he's completely faced away from the group. And here I'll show you guys an easy Undaunted achievement to get. You just consume that Deadly Pie and you get a few Undaunted points for your Undaunted skill line. And that's pretty much it. And after that, you wake up from eating the Deadly Pie. And while you do have the option of going left or right, there is also a shortcut going through the lava and going up the cliff with your mount. Essentially, you're skipping the ads on both the left and right. However, we won't be doing that in this video, just to show you guys what the trash pool is like. Basically, it's kind of the same format, whether you take left or right. Eventually, you'll end up at the same destination either way. If you're going for a specific achievement, like killing however number of Flaming Colossus in Veteran City of Ash 2, go ahead and do left and right. Otherwise, choose a path and stick with it, and you eventually arrive at the next 4th boss of City of Ash 2, which will be a very scary one. And again here, we're focusing the ads that need to be focused. The tank is trying to stack them as best as possible. And as you notice, it's the archers that spawn those little 4 lines of fire that continuously erupt at a set location. So again, 2-hander first if possible, and then the archers, and then everything else. Alright, and we finally arrived at the Ash Titan, the 4th boss of Bad City of Ash 2. This can be a challenging one for the tank, especially if the group DPS is too low or something, but otherwise take it slow, take it safe, and you'll still be fine. As you can see, the Ash Titan is turned away from the group because of the fire AoEs he puts on the tank. As you can see right now, can be put on anyone next to the tank or in his 180-degree view, as you'll see later. And you don't want to overlap those little meteors the boss puts on you, and once you push your boss to the next health interval of the fight, he's going to spawn an air Atronak, or a fire air Atronak? I don't know how you would classify that Atronak, but basically the tank takes this ad, keeps his taunt on the boss, and just kind of walks around. While it is possible to just stand in the Atro's AoEs plus the Titan's AoEs, I wouldn't recommend it if you don't have enough CP or anything, or maybe not the proper gear. As you can see, our tank's health is dipping low. Our healer has noticed, tosses him a few breath of lives, and with the 2 air Atros up, we gotta make sure the tank is safe by killing the boss before the tank runs out of resources or anything. So that was the Ash Titan. Pretty annoying boss because, as you noticed, when he hits those health percentages, when he spawns those air Atros, he gets like max resistances and shit, so you can't really like burn him. You just kind of gotta like get your resources back and burn him after he spawns them. And here you pull the drawbridge switch, and you'll notice something very peculiar about the next trash. If you guys have noticed already in this video, the skeletons, when you kill them, they explode into a fine mist of poison that knocks you back. And this can be dangerous on the bridge for obvious reasons, because they can push you off the bridge and you'll die. And here we have another trash pack with an elite ad, a 2-hander again. Kill the 2-hander, cleave everything else, and that's it. We got some banter here between the Undaunted. Yeah, another trash pack with 2 elite moms, the archer and the 2-hander. 2-hander first, and then the archer. And of course, avoid the fire lines or your healers will laugh at you as they stop healing. Again, there's another shortcut up ahead where you can kind of skip straight to the preliminary fights before the final boss, but again, I will not be doing that in this video. Instead, we'll be doing it the old way, the old-fashioned way. And we're gonna kill these fire archers and these annoying scams, and of course, watch out for those jumping clanfears. It's a pretty cute animation. More Untitled banter. That's a pretty good exchange of dialogue. And here we got more, Daedra. And it's a pretty good way to build ulti. And you can again, a lot more ulti gen in here from fighter zeal passives. From killing Daedra, you get more ultimate. So again, feel free to ultimate as much as you want. That one had very poor aim. The last trash before the pre-fights, before the last boss, has the Flame Colossus. And again, don't forget that you have to turn him around away from the group if you are the group's tank. And if you're the DPS and healer, try to not be in front of the Flaming Colossus. And here we meet our original quest giver, Valkyn. And apparently we have to destroy 2 conduit things. And we're going to go to the left here first. So before you engage the last boss, Valkyn Skoria, of this dungeon, we have to go through these 2 little mini boss fights on the left and right. The format is the same, the ad pulls are the same. So I'm going to only show you guys the left side. The only difference between the left and right side is where the mini boss spawns, and that's pretty much it. For the mini boss over here spawns behind where I am, and the one on the right spawns by the stairs from where he came from. So again, you have to do this twice, including this time, and then you'll be able to engage the last boss of Vet City of Ash 2. Here we have the second ad wave. It's just a 2-hander, some fire archers. You can block those chains. There is a split second of when he looks at you and does a chain animation. So if you're DPS or healer, you can dodge roll or block those chains, so you're not pulled to him. The third wave after this will have 2 archers, and your tank can actually stack these archers with line of sight or distance, and our tank is doing that right now, as you can see, and this makes the fight go by a lot faster. And as you can do, you can just kill the other one with cleave and focus the other one with single target abilities. And now the last ad wave includes that mini boss. So again, there's no real big difference between the left and right side. The only difference is the left one spawns right there, and the right one spawns by the stairs from where you come from. The right one tends to, for whatever reason, move backwards. This one on the left does not move much. It's a random mechanic, I guess they drew onto the right boss, or it's a bug or something that the left boss won't move backwards. But either way, that's pretty much the only difference. And as you can see, we're just gonna kind of ignore the storm matchers and focus the mini boss entirely, and we'll do the same thing on the right side. So I'm gonna skip over that, and we're gonna go to Valkyn Skoria. So as you saw, we just finished the right side, and we came down. In the past, you used to be able to jump a lot more early onto the forming bridge and still like be able to cross it, but they patched that a while ago, so you can only jump on the last part of the bridge forming. And here we'll read the hard mode tome, and all this does is remove, as you can see, or destroys those pads. So on non-hard mode you have a lot more pads to go to if you don't have the DPS to burn them before the 3 pads are gone. So he destroys each pad based on a timer, not a health interval. So having more DPS is really good for this fight. The tank positioned them in that spot because Valkyn Skoria spawns this fountain of fire wherever the tank is. So if the fountain of fire is in the middle of the pad, your group's gonna have a harder time to like sidestep those fire lines or heal through them. So that's why the tank is putting the fountain of fire on the edge of the pad, as opposed to the center or somewhere else. And here we go. His timer has gone off and he destroys the first pad. Your group wants to already kind of be already on its way to the next pad the moment you see the animation for him destroying the pads. And here we're just going to be completely focusing Valkyn Skoria, nothing else. The fire outros will die once the tank pulls them in or stacks them. And as you can see, you can dodge or block the heavy attacks Valkyn Skoria does. That's not tauntable, and that's your personal responsibility to kind of avoid the lines of fire, the CC from his heavy attack, and also to conserve your stamina, because he does fossilize a tank and a random DPS usually, sometimes only the tank, so you want to break free from that. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's how you play your Red City Dash 2 on hard mode.
Everything changes.